I'm Csa Anderson from Earth Matters. In 2018, a number of the Earth Matters group, a number of us, and many other people took a climate class with Edward Cameron. And Edward, in his work, has been instrumental in many of the companies finding ways that they can reduce their impact on the climate. He was living in Manchester at the time, and he decided to start getting more people on board with some of the solutions he was advocating for. So I think we had 6 sessions, and at the end he said, now I want you all to look at the drawdown book and pick a solution that you want to work on. And he was talking about this book, Drawdown, which is edited by Paul Hawken, which has 100 solutions, according to the 40 or 50 scientists who worked on this book, that are the best solutions to fix our climate crisis. A whole portion of this book is about solutions around food. The way we produce our food, the way our food is transported, the food waste, and the access that people have or do not have to good, healthy food. And a number of us came to that meeting, and we decided we would work on regenerative agriculture, educating people about it, and finding out more ourselves because we were not that familiar with it. But it's solution number 11. And one of the reasons is because a lot of our industrial agricultural production is done in such a way that it increases the heat absorption by the earth, and it gives off too much carbon into the atmosphere. When we till and leave our soils bare, they heat up in the sun, they're exposed to oxygen, and the carbon combines with that oxygen to make CO2 and go right up into the atmosphere. And much of the carbon that's up there used to be in our soils. But over the centuries, over many civilizations, once humans started to uncover the soil and take away the habitat that was there, whether it be grasslands or forests, we were beginning to degrade the soil and degrade the carbon content of the soil. So we had a lot to learn. We had to find out what principles are important. I've already mentioned several. You always keep the soil covered, planted with roots. It keeps it cooler, and it also improves the water retention when we do have rain. Rain falling on bare soil is, and especially soil that's been tilled and compacted below the tiller, doesn't absorb as much water. And so we started learning about the farms that do use regenerative principles, and we had some of them come and talk to us. We went and visited them, and the Regenerative Ag group, would report back to Earth Matters and say, this is what we've discovered. And so the Earth Matters group decided, let's do this. Let's start taking that as one of the climate solutions that we want to promote. And simultaneously, 350 Vermont was also thinking that way. Because even in Vermont, there is food that is grown with these methods. As you can see, a lot of bare soil at this time of the year as farmers are getting ready. But they are starting to make improvements, and that is a really good thing. One important principle of regenerative agriculture is minimal disturbance. So as well as not tilling, it also means not disturbing the natural way that plants grow. No pesticides, no herbicides, no insecticides, because that is not just contaminating our food, it's contaminating our whole environment. And definitely degrading the soil, which has many creatures growing in there, and for us to have healthy food, we need those creatures in the soil to provide the nutrients that plants need. So regenerative agriculture is the way to go. So one way that we thought we could show people what regenerative agriculture is all about was to take a few plots at the Manchester Community Garden to demonstrate some of the principles and grow food for the food cupboard and for other people we knew who were food insecure.
I'm Mary Derland, and we're looking at a research project, Pablo's project, which is to grow vegetables from around the world. The seeds come from around the world. Italy seems to be a great contributor, that are at the same latitude. And he put up hoop houses to overwinter. Here you see arugula, and behind that there's some lettuce, and you know, his garlic is doing very well. And you'll notice that he's a firm believer in using what nature provides, a la, you know, the wood for the climber peas. And so very interesting, very interesting. You'll notice that we're planting our tomatoes deep to increase the root system, make robust plants, and that we've just used something called a broad fork to loosen the soil but not turn it over. And we can look at our garlic, which was put in the fall and then heavily mowed with chopped leaves and totally ignored until today, when we find that despite being dry in general, there's still dampness down here. And the soil activity, including a little cutworm, that we want to have happen with all the microbes. And I would have you contrast this with something that has just been rototilled, and it takes no time at all for it to become dust. This is the kind of thing that made the Dust Bowl when it was applied to hundreds of thousands of acres. And as we do it one by one in our own properties, it also has the same effect as far as being a loss of nutrients and organic matter.
I'm Anita Pomerantz and a member of the Regenerative Agriculture group, now they call it. And I've been doing square foot gardening based on Mel Bartholomew's teaching, and his book is my Bible. And you control how many seeds you plant. It has to be a square number, 16 seeds, or maybe twice as many, and you remove half, in for carrots and radishes. And then for larger plants, it's 9 feet for bush beans, and 9 seeds, and 4 seeds for chard, and this is all per square foot. Each square foot is designated one little plant. I have a row of herbs in the very front here. I have anise and basil, and I'm going to put a rosemary there, and a what's the other one? Oh, parsley, of course. I have parsley. Carrots that came up from last year. Nasturtiums that I'm about to plant. I bought them as already planted things. And then I have garlic in the middle that we planted last fall, which is good because it smells bad, we hope, to the insects. And the nice thing about nasturtium is you can eat the flowers and the leaves. And also I've got onions, and I think that also discourages pests a little bit. I'm going to plant marigolds. And there's pod choy, a smaller version of bok choy, and kale, and broccoli, and eggplant, which does beautifully with all the sun here. I have a garden at home with less sun. And leeks, which I love, leeks. Want me to go on?
Yep.
Here we have more onions. It's such fun to plant onions because you know they're there, and you can see the little green tips usually coming up already. And I cover them for protection from the sun, the tender ones that I've just recently planted or transplanted. Or, yeah, I don't do much from seed here. I would start them in a little peat pot at home. And down here we have another eggplant. Mostly it's to another leek from last year. I forgot what I put here. Oh yes, mystery. Pod choy again, broccoli again, tarragon, one more herb that I left here from last year. And then leeks again, bok choy, no spinach. And then under there is more chard. And then I'm going to do the trellis, which is lots of fun. I'm going to train this tomato to a single stem, and it'll climb and climb. And then I have actually three cucumber plants in there. Bartholomew says to just put 2 per square, but I'm sneaking in a third one. And then over here is going to be, I have a few peas that I started at home, and I don't know if they'll make it now. This is almost June. But I'm going to replace it or supplement it with pole beans, which I love, and I had a wonderful crop last year. And then the far end, maybe another tomato.
So the rhubarb is going to the food cupboard. And here are a couple titles that I highly recommend. Noah's Garden tells you how to rethink what you're doing on your own property so that it will be abundant with various kinds of birds and bees and wildlife, and a diversity of plants that you don't need to tend to very much. And then we're emphasizing share. And so here are seeds that the whole garden can use.
So Northshire Grown Direct was started last April, in April 2020, and it was started as a COVID response to help farmers recoup lost revenues from when COVID blanketed our region. A group of us who are community organizers and local food enthusiasts reached out to farmers last March and found out that a lot of their sales channels had flattened. And so we got together with a wonderful group called Earth Matters to see if there was interest in the local community to have a single point of contact market where we were the contact for all of the farmers, and then we were also the contact for all of the customers. So that ended up being a very safe COVID protocol for making sure that there were not a lot of touch points on the actual product. We created this idea to put together a bundled Csa program. We put together boxes that included products from a variety of different vendors, so it kind of very loosely follows a Csa model, but it's a model that also incorporates at least 50 of the producers and farmers that are in our area. We sent out an email to 24 people, and our first market we had 61 orders, which we thought was just fantastic. We thought we'd maybe do it for 4 to 6 times. I don't think anybody had any idea last spring what COVID was going to become and how it was going to impact all of our day-to-day everyone's day-to-day life. And so sure enough, the next week we had over 100 orders, and so we worked out of the J.K. Adams farm stand for the first 2 months, for April and May. Quickly grew out of that, and then very luckily we were able to move over to the Dorset Playhouse, where we've been since last June. The market happens every 2 weeks. We have a listserv of about 650 people at this point, which has been completely grown organically. We haven't done any advertising, we haven't done any promotion. The customers have really, really welcomed the variety of the food that's in the boxes. We do produce, we do meat, we do cheeses, we do pantry staples, but we also have a lot of fun kind of loosely curating things by theme. So we have taco boxes, and we have pizza boxes, and we at the next market on May 12th, we're going to have a pie making box that will include all of the ingredients for making your own pie crust, as well as pie filling from a wonderful purveyor over in Windsor. So it's been very creative for all of us to come up with great ways to bundle all of these fantastic food items that we know are being made right here in the Northshire. And I think it's really fun for the customers, because when we survey them, there are always lots of great comments about the variety of offerings and how it's really been a great customer, kind of a consumer education experience for the customers, for them getting to know really all of the fantastic food that's made right here in the greater Manchester, Dorset area. So I'm sitting here at this desk because I am the representative from Merck Forest and Farmland Center, who has been our administrative backbone for the project since the middle of last April. And since I work there as the Director of Institutional Advancement, I'm kind of wearing two hats here, where though I love being part of the creative team, I'm also the administrative organizer of it. There's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes to make these markets happen. We have a core group of volunteers: Maria Reed, Heidi Lynn, Mara Hurst, and myself, who we are kind of the Oz's behind the curtain, so to speak, making it all happen. We reach out to all of the vendors every 2 weeks, find out what they have, and then we do our bundling, and we put the order form together. The order form is available for, usually it sells out between 2 and 3 days. And then we have a second wonderful group of volunteers that comes in, and they help with deliveries and transportation and going to get things if it's a little too far away for the farmer to be able to take the time off to bring in the product themselves. And then we, as you've seen today, also have a day of packing up all of the product and getting it ready for distribution. And then our customers come on Wednesday afternoons between 3 and 5. So there is a lot that goes into it behind the scenes, where we're constantly looking over kind of the data points that we really look to make sure that we're continuing to make a change as COVID is finally ebbing, which is exciting for everybody in our community. We have noticed that the interest in this project has remained constant and is, if anything, growing. And so we're looking at ways to create a post-COVID market that continues to do what we wanted it always to do, which was we talk about our farmers being our North Stars. What we really want to do is move food for them. Farmers have really, really welcomed this new market channel, and so we'd really like to continue to keep at it. We very strategically do our markets on Wednesdays, so we complement the Dorset Farmers Market, which I'm sure will be back in full swing this summer. We're always looking at our numbers of farmers and producers to see if the numbers are changing. We look at our customer numbers to understand how many people are organically finding us and joining our listserv, and then how many customers we have per market. We obviously look at income and expenses. Very proud to say that the project has grossed over $300,000 in the last year through 25 markets, and 80% at least of that has gone directly back to the farmers. We also have a wonderful program that's called the Northshire Neighbors in Need. And the other thing that we try to do as good a job as we can of tracking are how we are doing our advertising and marketing. We are at this point are just doing it through an email program called MailChimp. We are doing a little bit of social media, and that though this has largely been a community-generated volunteer project, it has gotten some wonderful support. And obviously Merck Forest and Farmland Center and the Dorset Playhouse are two of our most, are almost benefactors of this project, because Merck stepped up and really allowed administration for all of the bookkeeping and a lot of the organizing to happen through their staff portals, and the Dorset Playhouse giving us the space to work in for 10 months has just been a remarkable gift. In addition to that, we have gotten money from the Vermont Community Foundation, from the Vermont Agency of Agriculture, and from Bennington College's Mellon Foundation Food Insecurity Grant to do various things. And it's another thing that we're looking into is to see if there's any other capacity building way that we can grow the program, make sure that it continues to have its niche, but that it also continues to grow community and a robust local food economy here in the North Shire. One thing that I also wanted to touch on is our Neighbors in Need program, which we're really, really proud of. It's a customer-generated philanthropy program where we distribute the boxes that we're making for our customers through 4 different community connectors out to households and families in the area that need some extra food support. So this project was kicked off with a very generous contribution from an anonymous donor through the Vermont Community Foundation. But with that as our seed money, we have, on every order form, we have asked our customers to make a donation, either 10, 25, 50, or any donation amount of their choice, towards putting these boxes together for folks. And to date, we've put over 500 boxes out into the community, which is just something that really makes us feel so great that everybody is at the table here, and that folks that might not be able to know how to access it or be able to pay for it are also enjoying all this great local food, and that's also so healthy for them.